3, 4.
Rev up your engine! Alright, I'm going to continue talking about the reality of cars. In this case, it's a 2005 Scion TC. Was it a worthwhile car? Is it a worthwhile car to buy used today? Well, here's the truth. When this 05 was new, the original list price was $16,000. Pretty good deal. But I know you're going to say, Scotty, it's a Scion. All right, Scion, they were all Toyotas made in Japan. It was a marketing failure, but not a car failure. They wanted to sell vehicles to young people, so they thought, let's make a new name. Now, I completely understand this when you're talking about Toyota selling Lexus. High-end, people are paying a lot of money. They thought, who's going to pay $60,000 for a Toyota? They'll spend it on a Lexus, though. And that, obviously, has grown. Great luxury cars, right? Lexus. But as far as I'm concerned, Scion was a mistake. Toyota already had a great name amongst everybody, young people included. So the point of selling its own brand, kind of a stupid idea. I remember when they came out, they'd go to all the stores and music stores and have young people there and take them for test rides and stuff. But really, it would have worked just as well if it said Toyota instead of Scion. Made in Japan! They wanted to make cars that appealed to the youngsters. The youngsters already would have liked Toyota Celicas, whatever. There was a range, but they decided, oh, let's have this company Scion. Well, it doesn't exist now, but really, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a name. If you're gonna buy one of these used today, you don't have to worry about getting parts. It's a Toyota. It's just that they had kind of a marketing glitch, and now basically they're selling very similar cars, calling them Toyotas. Don't worry, you can always get parts for them. I never have problems getting parts for these things when I'm working on them. And if you get a good price like this guy did, a year and a half ago, he bought it for $2,000. Now, granted, this thing's been in various wrecks. It was repainted, but it was poorly repainted, so you can see the clear coat has come off, a bunch of it. They just did a lousy job repainting. Now, you can't blame that on Toyota, because you see the trunk hasn't been repainted. It's still shiny. And we go further down, we can see people have whacked into things. The paint's coming off the bumper where it's been hit. That's all cosmetic stuff. If you don't care, you can drive it this way. Or you can go get the whole thing painted. Wait till Christmas time when they have all the sales. We'll paint any car for 250 bucks, whatever. You can get it all one color. It would look a lot better. Now, as you can see, it's got a 4-cylinder Toyota engine. And for this one, unfortunately, it's the 2AZFE engine. The one that can often burn oil as it ages. They didn't make the piston rings right. Toyota did rebuild a lot of these engines free. And in the case of this one, customer bought the car for $2 grand. About 3/4 of a year later, the engine blew. And that's a big warning I tell people who are buying these things used, especially young guys. If you buy one of these used, don't be redlining it all the time. He redlined his, and it led to the end of the engine. But it's not the end of the story. He replaced the engine in it. And here's the difference between Tennessee here, that's more rural, in downtown Houston where I used to live. If you remember my older video, a customer of mine who was a friend, he had one of these and he blew the engine and only had like 40,000 miles on it because he overrevved it. He had road rage and he went from like 5th gear to 1st gear inadvertently, and the engine just blew up. It ended up costing him like almost $5 grand to get the engine replaced. Well, this one here is in more rural Tennessee. You got the engine that's in it now for $400. The guy said, if you give me your old engine, I'll sell you this one for $400. And he put it in himself. So there's a big difference between $5 grand and $400. If you live in a more rural area where things are much better at getting things cost effectively, get a used engine, put it in. Maybe you get these for almost nothing with a blown engine, or when it burns a lot of oil, put another engine in it. Like he did, it only cost him 400 bucks out of pocket, and he gave him the old engine. So let's start it up and listen to it. Starts right up, engine's humming along, has a nice smooth tone coming out the back, running perfectly. They're eminently fixable vehicles. You can keep fixing them and driving them. They sold a lot of these. A lot of younger people bought them. So a lot of younger people wrecked them. A lot of good engines and transmissions sitting in junkyards for these things. Now this particular one is a beater work car, yeah. Clear coat's gone, headlights have faded away. You can fix up whatever you want. You want to make it look like new, go right ahead. You want a dependable work vehicle? You can't beat something like this for a combination of fun and reliability. And who knows, you buy used and you might get lucky. It might have one of these 2.4 liter engines that Toyota rebuilt for free. You never know. But it's not as big of a deal as people make it. My grandson has one. It's a Toyota Camry 07. He whines that it burns too much oil. Ooh, it burns like half a quart of oil every couple thousand miles. It's not that big of a deal as long as you check it frequently and change it frequently. There's one problem with that, is that this is a Toyota product. People with Toyota products are spoiled. They don't even want to put air in the tires. Oh, they run forever. You don't have to do anything to them. You got when it burns a little oil, you have to check it. Because I had a customer in Houston that had a Camry. It had this engine in it, and it burned oil. But it didn't until it got older. And the woman was the original owner of the car. She brought it in, it's not running right, she said. I check it, I changed the oil, and half a quart of oil came out of the engine. That was it. Luckily, she didn't ruin the engine. But if she would have kept checking it and adding it, she wouldn't have had a problem. Being a Toyota owner, she said, hey, Scotty, but I changed the oil in June, and this was like November. I said, you gotta check it every once in a while now. You can't just go and drive like you used to. She's somebody who would drive 20,000 miles a year. And she needed to check it then. If you're gonna get a vehicle like this, you need to check your oil every once in a while. Now this one is worse for wear, but it's still got the fancy Scion wheels. Check them out. They're all in decent shape. Yeah, the body needs some paint work, but I mean, hey, it can be done if you want. All these wheels are still in excellent shape. As far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to get a cute little sporty Toyota back in the day when this was $16,000 new, you got a great deal if you took care of it. Probably still running like a clock if you're the original owner. So let's close the hood, take it for a ride. As soon as you put your seatbelt, you can see it was designed for the younger crowd. Nice little Scion logo on it. As mentioned before, starts right up. Now it's a Toyota, so the AC still blows cold. Now it's got over 147,000 miles on it, but the gear shift doesn't even shake. It still goes smooth as silk. For those of you who don't drive a standard, this is perhaps one of the easiest cars in the world to learn. Got a 5-speed on the floor, hydraulic clutch, smooth action. If you already know how to drive, you could learn how to drive a standard in this thing in probably 5 minutes. Still has a great suspension. You can go back, forth on the road, straightens itself up. These are great driving cars for cheap. Now, as you can see right here, the tire maintenance is on. The tire pressure monitoring system, these cars break all the time as they age. And do you really care? Heck, get an air gauge, check your tire. You're gonna have to change all the sensors out. Probably costs a lot of money. Like I say, who cares? Tire pressure gauges work fine. Now, it's got 160 horsepower, so let's see how much is left. Still got a reasonable amount of horsepower. Not a race car by any stretch of the imagination, but it's zippy and fun to drive, and it can last. It's a lot of fun in the twisties. These are fun cars to drive. A real, cheap, fun little car that's standard transportation if you want it to be. And truthfully, it is a very stable driving platform. The engineers hit it right when they built this particular design. They are really fun to drive. I know guys that are serious drivers that have bought these things and they were totally happy with driving them around. This is not a boring econobox car. This is a fun, sporty little car. Even the seats, they're comfy. You can get fancier seats, but they are very comfortable. You fit in really well when you're taking the twisties. And they're cool because they got the dual sunroofs on them, which is nice. And when you want to carry stuff, check it out. You got this room, and of course, you put the seats down, man, you got room up the wazoo for carrying stuff. So it's fun and utilitarian. It is an excellent vehicle. You can get one cheap enough. Hey, you can have a lot of cheap fun, but still have something that is reliable Going to get you where you're going. It's going to start every time, stop, handle decently. And since really they're a Toyota product, parts are easy to get. Aftermarket parts are easy to get. There's plenty of interchangeable parts from other Toyotas. If you like going to salvage yards, buying parts there. You smash a door, buy a door, bolt a new one on from a junkyard. This isn't something that's hard to find parts for. You can easily fix them cheaply and efficiently and not be scrounging all over the world trying to find a part that's hard to find. As far as I'm concerned, it's just that with this world insanity, and especially in the United States, of everyone wants an SUV, 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 they stopped making these things. They didn't fit in with the plan of what the average American wants. They don't want a 2-door, they want a 4-door. Then they don't even want 4 doors, they want SUVs. 4 doors not enough, they want an SUV. So these faded away. Didn't mean they faded away because they were bad cars. They just faded away because of marketing. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.